everyone, today's video is sponsored by Amazon Coins. If you want to buy Lapis in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, then you need to check out Amazon Coins on the Amazon App Store for Android. Amazon Coins can save you a lot of money on in-app purchases, and right now, new and returning customers can save up to 20% on Amazon Coins and get a lot more for your money. To get to the Amazon App Store and take advantage of all the savings from Amazon Coins, click the link down below. Get saving on that Lapis. It's what I use personally. I made the switch months ago, and I wish I had done it sooner. It's seriously, if you're someone who spends on the game, you cannot go without it. So, huge shout out and thank you again to Amazon Coins for sponsoring this video. Let's get into the action. Hello everyone, today's video is going to be AI Katy's Complete Guide Part 1, and the reason I'm doing this in two parts is because, holy crap, her kit is enormous, and I want to make sure that each aspect of her kit, or each way that you can use her, gets the full attention that it deserves. So today is going to be focused all about how to get the most damage out of using AI Katy Perry, because she's quite the surprising unit. She's got a ton of stuff in her kit, and she, as you may have noticed in her Tour of Destruction, is an exceptionally effective unit, so we definitely want to give her the attention she deserves. And I'll say it up front, I think she is the best free-to-play unit Lapis can buy. Okay, if you're somebody who's missing a role in your party, get this unit. TLDR, get this unit. If you're missing something. If not, this is where the details may help you. So before diving into the details of her kit, we are going to look at her TMR and her STMR within the mentality of how it applies to her damage. Now, it may not give you any of the offensive stats that you want. It does activate a passive that gives you a little bit of all stats. But the most important thing it gives you for a damage dealer is the triple cast for black magic as well as the tri-core processor. So you do need this equipped, either this or her STMR. You want your trust passive activated. So unfortunately, the item itself doesn't really do anything for you offensively. The ribbon and the defense and spirit is nice, but other than that, it's a little bit sad as far as offensive items go. Now her STMR, of course, for damage dealers is fantastic, and for herself, it is a best in slot item, and it is pretty easy to obtain, and if you're pretty new to the game, it's definitely something worth considering because, holy crap, it does so much. Most notably, it gives you 40% attack, 40 attack, 50% true double hand, 50% true dual wield for attack, as well as the ability to equip rods and whips, and 50% magic for having rods or whips equipped, which can give you 100% magic, as well as 40 flat magic, as well as some defensive stats, as well as some HP and MP restore. So it really is probably the fattest single item in the entire game. It gives you more value than pretty much anything else. So if you do have this and you are running her as a damage dealer, this is going to be a best in slot item, and we'll see it in our builds later. I've included it in the more budget builds because it is something that people can acquire. It's not an RNG thing. It is a, if you want it, you can get it. So AI Katy's damage rotation is brain dead easy. We're not going to focus too much on it. We're going to look more at builds and talk about some of the more complicated mechanics behind it, but essentially, if you're going to be using her either as a physical damage dealer, a hybrid damage dealer, or a magic damage dealer, most likely you're going to be using tri-core processor to do your triple cast, and then you want to use system update, and this buffs yourself, gives you human and machine killer, and it also buffs the damage of certain magic spells, but most importantly, it upgrades your directive attacks that are down here. So you always want to use this on the first turn, and then you want to double cast whatever your damage ability is. Crossed Wires is your hybrid attack, offensive measures is your physical attack, and then combative measures is your magic attack. So you have one of each, and yeah, we'll go ahead and just do a couple of those. Get an eye for that. And they do inflict status ailments, and they are pretty sweet. They look pretty awesome. Holy crap, that was a lot of damage. So yeah, that's turn one, is you want to make sure that you unlock your upgraded versions, and now you'll see that it's directive, crossed wires, offensive measures, and combative measures plus. So that's your upgraded version, and then you just spam 3 of those every turn for the rest of the fight, and the damage is outrageous. I know it doesn't look like much because AI Katy Perry doesn't burst super hard, but like, let's look at what this does. She's only got her personal buff. The dummy obviously doesn't have breaks or imperils or anything. Let's just see what this does. Yeah, hello. Hello? That's pretty great. So those are going to be your bread and butter combat abilities for hybrid, physical, and magical, but it is worth noting that you do have some other options as well. AI Katy Perry has access to triple black magic, which you'll see she has a ton of black magic options up here, which is pretty handy. I think the best options that she's going to have, of course, are going to be Tornado and Eroja. For anybody who did the Tornado Eroja, you know, chain capping sort of thing, it's a pretty good combo, but the problem you're going to find is that Tornado is not as good as it used to be, and you're not going to find anybody but her that can T-cast Tornado every single turn. But the good thing is that you can combine her with Barbarecia pretty easily. So, you know, I'm just saying, that's an option. If you want to do Tornado chaining, you can do it with Barbarecia, because Barbarecia unlocks triple cast, and Katy Perry has triple cast, and both of them have cooldowns that kind of line up with one another. So Directive, I think it's System Reboot? Nope, I lied. So the System Update one that we started with, this is the one that actually grants bonus damage for Flare, Flood, Freeze, Quake, and Tornado. And that goes to all allies. So if you're running like a Barbarecia with your Katy Perry, you can go ahead and use that on your first turn to get the upgraded modifiers. And then Barbarecia does her Wind and Thunder Imperil cooldown on the first turn. And then the rest of your turns, you just, you know, pop triple, like double Tornado with finishing Eroja, or triple Tornadoes, whatever you want to do. That's an option. But anyways, the point is she's got triple black magic. People don't use black magic a lot, but it is worth noting that she's totally viable to use it because of that cooldown that grants the additional modifiers. And you can combine it, yeah, with friend units that also have the same chaining ability. And I think I have seen somebody beat Blood Moon with this combination before. I think I've seen people use like Christine and Barbarecia with AI Katy Perry to beat Blood Moon using Tornado chaining and Christine finishing. So food for thought. I don't really use black magic all that much anymore, but it is there. As far as damage skills, that pretty much covers it. The only other one is her Limit Burst. In my opinion, I don't think it's especially good for damage, but it does apply Break just in case you need it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. So those are the majority of her abilities, but the ones that you're going to be using the most are going to be triple cast, cross wires, offensive measures, or combative measures. And you'll notice because we hadn't been using them every turn, they dropped the plus. So make sure you cast at least one every turn, even if you're trying to mix in other things with her rotation. Because you can feather in stuff like breaks or other things like that as part of her rotation, so just make sure that you're not missing one of those casts so you keep the plus up on it. So that's pretty much that as far as the rotation goes. I do want to talk real quick about the mechanics of her different attacks though, these crossed wires, offensive measures, and combative measures. There is one that is unique among them. So crossed wires is hybrid and it behaves like a normal hybrid attack. It means you benefit from variance, from physical killers, from your attack and magic combined. It's a normal hybrid attack. Offensive measures is a normal physical attack. It's Stardust Ray Chain, you know, it's your standard physical attack. But combative measures, which is your Chaos Wave chaining ability, this one is super unique. It's like Ace's Limit Burst or Rem's Boomerang Dagger, where it is actually physical damage that uses magic scaling. So this provides some advantages and disadvantages. This means that you can Chaos Wave in any element, period. Whatever element she has equipped, she will chain Chaos Wave in that. So her combative measures takes on whatever element she has equipped. It also, I believe it utilizes physical killers. You can confirm that in the comments. I may be wrong about that. But also, importantly, it is like Circe's Ouroboros or her Limit Burst, where Blood Moon will immune it. So anybody that is resistant to physical damage will be resistant to her Chaos Wave attack because it is physical damage with magic scaling. The other thing to take note of with this is that it doesn't benefit from damage variance, and it takes the total magic value and not your, handedness, your magic in one hand and your magic in the other hand. So it combines your total magic. It counts as physical damage. You can stack your physical killers on it. You can add an element imbue to it and all that stuff. So it is super, super nice, especially if you're like, oh, I want to do ice Chaos Wave chains. You can equip like Freyavia's Needle or something like that, and boom, she is a triple cast Chaos Wave chainer. Now, of course, a lot of Chaos Wave chainers use Quadcast and will use Quadcast in the future, which is, that's a little too bad. But hey, Katy Perry can do some of everything, and having the option to chain in every element in the game in Chaos Wave frames is awesome. Now, I do want to talk real quick about her Stardust Ray options. Her Stardust Ray, I guess the Stardust chaining family is not super big right now. There are not a lot of characters that can maintain triple cast Stardust Ray right now, but some of the best ones are going to be units like Monk, Sabin of Cults, Red 13, or Yuffie are probably going to be your top 3 options if you wanted to chain her with somebody aside from herself. But hopefully we get more Stardust Ray chainers in the future with additional triple cast options. I know that like with Monk, Sabin of Cults particularly, it's tricky to keep up his triple cast up to pace with Katy's triple cast. So, you'd have turns where he's not going to do anything, but I think Red 13 has a better time keeping it up since he uses his Limit Burst and has better uptime on T-cast. But anyways, I digress. Those are your options there. And of course, Bolting Strike is everybody's favorite. The nice thing about Katy, AI Katy, is that she lines up really nicely with Elena. So if you wanted to use her with Elena to provide some chaining, no problem. Just equip or imbue whatever element you're going to use, no problem. She can also chain with other Bolting Strike chainers like Xeno or Esther, but unfortunately for them, their best damage output is not actually the Bolting Strike frames. So Elena is probably your best bet for a Bolting Strike combo. The other one that I found that I think is worth noting is that that you can chain her with Blossom Sage Sakura. So if you equip AI Katy Perry with a Thunder Weapon and you T-cast Crossed Wires, that's hybrid, and then you can T-cast with Blossom Sage Sakura. She does thunder damage, and she brings the Imperil. So you can combine the two, do some thunder chaining, get a Thunder Imperil going. Easy peasy. So those are just a few of my thoughts about those. But in summary, whatever type of boss you're going up against, whether you need hybrid, physical, or magical, you have something covered. Make sure you equip whatever element you want to use or imbue whatever element you use. And of course, one of Katy's drawbacks is that she doesn't have Imperils in her kit, so if you want to maximize your damage, you gotta bring that on your own. So those are just things to keep in mind while you are triple casting your different chaining abilities. And they really are a lot of fun to use. Because this flexibility is outrageous. I mean, to be able to chain with any element with Chaos Wave, that's pretty nutty. Now the next thing I do want to talk about with AI Katy Perry, and this is where I want to spend more time, is talking about her builds, because this is where things get a little bit crazy. I've tailored these builds instead of talking about the whaley ones. They're a little bit more aimed at newer players or players who are looking to fill a role in their party that they don't have filled yet. So this is going to exclude STMRs except for her own, because if you decided you want it, you could get it relatively easily compared to any of the other STMRs in the game. So this first build we're going to look at is her physical build. This one has been built with true double hand. Now, while her STMR does grant true dual wield, she doesn't have true dual wield mastery, so she doesn't have the 6x chain cap, so you don't typically want to dual wield with her, and especially because she doesn't have an 8 dual wield. So go double hand, go all the way. If you have a two-handed elemental weapon, that's probably going to be one of your best bets. And fortunately for us, Excalibur is an item that anybody could theoretically get. So that's what I've put in the builder for this one. That gives her light element, it gives her the two-handed damage variance. And other than that, it's pretty simple. You build her like you would any other true double-hand damage dealer, and you can go ahead and get those Stardust Ray chains, no problem. And as always, my builds include a free slot for a killer, and then of course you would adjust your Esper accordingly. But yeah, pretty simple. Cap out that double hand and then equip the rest attack percent materia, and you can see with some door pots and an okay item world roll, you can get to over 2700 attack without any STMRs aside from her own. So that's pretty spicy. But the thing that's more interesting to me, and I'm going to say a number, the build goal calculated value, okay? So the damage output for this using her physical attack, using her offensive measures, is 3.2 million. We'll round up to 3.3 million, okay? Keep in your mind the number 3.3 million. That's how much the damage came out to for this particular ability. We're going to hop over to her hybrid build, and you're going to notice that this looks extremely similar, and there's a very important reason for that, okay? So this build is built for maximum hybrid damage for her crossed wires ability, and this ability does 5.1 million damage, okay? So we were talking physical damage previously. This is hybrid damage, 5.1 million. All you do is change your chaining ability, and you're doing another 2 million damage by comparison. That's a pretty big hike. And the only item that was changed from the build, if I recall correctly, is the Black Fox Shapeshifter mask. Adding in whatever hybrid stuff you can, whenever you can. But otherwise, this build is pretty much identical, and it comes out to your best non-STMR hybrid build, and it does do a lot more damage. And this is the thing that kind of blew my mind. An AI Katy Perry has the potential to do more damage than Elena, and it doesn't take a lot to do that. So with AI Katy Perry, you build her out to be a true double hand hybrid damage dealer. Stack up all that hybrid stuff as much as you can. You do want to focus attack first so that you can benefit from your true double hand attack variants, but then otherwise fill in magic where you can. But you can see in this build it still does like 2 million damage more than the physical builds. There are other options aside from Excalibur if you want to use other weapons. Of course, she can equip anything in the game, so equip whatever you want, equip whatever's best. Two-handed elemental weapons are probably going to be your best friend. The best item in the game to equip as a weapon is Ignition Axe, which is Ignacio's STMR. Of course, that's going to be pretty hard to come by, but another very strong option is Artemis Bow, which is the item that you get for completing the Revenge of the Blood Moon, or Blood Moon Scorn, or Scorn of Blood Moon, or whatever the heck you want to call it. If you beat that, you get the Artemis Bow, you get a rare item world roll on it. That's 35% attack and magic before any other rolls. So that's also a very good item, and it has higher damage variance. So that's also an option, but do keep in mind you would have to externally imbue. So that's just something to keep in mind. But there are a ton of options. You just want to go for a two-handed weapon, stack out attack first, and then start building in some of your hybrid equips. And yeah, that's about it for hybrid. But you will see that, you know, if you do a true double-hand attack build versus a true double-hand hybrid build, even if the builds are almost identical, your hybrid damage is going to be higher just because the modifier is substantially higher. So most of the time you're going to be wanting to use her hybrid crossed wires skill anyways, which is kind of, it blows my mind a little bit. We don't have that many units that have both physical and hybrid attacks, and yeah, so it's been pretty fun to see this. Now, speaking to AI Katy's magic builds, I know most of the mages that we've seen up to this point, you do want to try and go like double Ravenheart or Ravenheart Christine STMR sort of thing for the true dual wield, but with AI Katy Perry, she has a ton of magic double hand. I believe it is true double hand in her case, actually. Either way, she gets 150%, which I believe is more than any other mage in the game at this point, which is pretty awesome. That is a large amount of double hand, so you just want to have a rod or whatever with a high amount of magic, and then go ahead and stack out the rest of the 300% magic double hand, and you're good to go. Just fill out the rest of your magic. Mages are super easy to build. I don't need to labor on this much further, but as always, my builds keep a free slot for a materia as well as adjusting the Esper for the particular fight. But as you can see with some door pots, you can get this AI Katy Perry to over 2,700 magic, which is pretty impressive for a double hand mage, as well as one where the only STMR on her is her own, which is one, again, that anybody, if they decided to, could acquire it. So that covers the build. Again, keep in mind with AI Katy Perry, if you're not using her black magic abilities, you are going to need to imbue so that her Chaos Wave has an element to it. Otherwise, it will be elementless, and you know, you want to use elements. That's how you get more damage. So that pretty much covers the builds and some of the basic mechanics I wanted to make sure you guys knew about with building AI Katy. Now the big question is she worth it as a damage dealer? I absolutely believe so. If you are missing any of the damage rolls, whether it's physical, magical, or hybrid, AI Katy Perry is not just a good option, she is among the best, okay? Her damage per turn can actually outclass Elena in many situations, which is kind of crazy if you're comparing, you know, her hybrid damage versus Elena's. Her physical damage is going to be less than many of the physical damage dealers we have, but it's still top tier. And then her magic damage with her Chaos Wave chaining is probably the weakest of them all. In most cases, I would probably opt to do her hybrid ability over her magic one. But of course, the option is there, and that's what makes her so awesome. So if you are missing out on an attacker, I would absolutely go for AI Katy Perry. And I've only like scratched the surface. There's so much that can be said about her. There are so many abilities in her kit we didn't even talk about today. But we're going to touch on as many of those as we can in the next video when we look at her from the support / tank / kind of whatever you want, breaker, you know, sort of role. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of the AI Katy complete guide. Thanks everybody for joining in this video. Let me know if I missed anything when going over her kit down in the comments below, and I'll see everybody in part 2.